Welcome to Wisdom Journey, the podcast where we explore the path of building an online business from the ground up. Here, I share my wins, struggles, lessons, and experiments so you can learn, adapt, and grow alongside me. I also interview experts in their respective field. Whether you're just starting out or looking for new strategies to scale, this is your space to find inspiration and practical wisdom. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to take you on today's journey. Welcome back to Wisdom Journey podcast. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies resilience and results, Shane Perry. Shane Perry is an entrepreneur, performance coach, and expert in human behavior who helps people get out of their own way to achieve extraordinary success. After decades of business success and a life-changing personal loss, he founded Disruption Factor, where he teaches his proven system for breaking out of comfort zones, setting achievable goals, and creating consistent life-changing momentum. We'll explore how creators and entrepreneurs can adopt his 90-day success framework to disrupt their limitations and start performing at their highest level. Welcome to the podcast, Shane.
Thank you, Wisdom. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Shane, I'd love for you to take us back to the moment you decided to start Disruption Factor. What were the events that led to that choice?
Well, yeah, my journey started, honestly, about 36 years ago at the age of 21 years old when I ventured out and got into a business that involved financial product sales, investment products. And it was very scary for me. And once I got started, I decided that instead of just being a representative, I wanted to take advantage of the agency position. So I really started, locating, building representatives and opening offices. And as I did this in the early years, about 25 years ago, I had some success 10 years in. About 25 years ago, I really did a deep dive into humans, to be honest with you, because I just couldn't understand why we behave the way that we do. In other words, why is our species about the only species that when it comes to living the life we want, getting what we want, we refuse to do what's necessary to make it happen, or we just give up? And so back then there wasn't YouTube or anything like that. So I was buying college psychology textbooks. I was just diving into everything. And what I did is I changed the way that I grow my business. I changed the way that I train my representatives. And instead of just product and sales training, if you will, I was doing mindset training. I was really teaching them to get out of their own way, to set and achieve goals. And I created a system that built a 7-figure income for me. That business runs itself. I'm really not so involved anymore. It runs itself. And then I guess it's been about 13 years ago, I stepped away from that business and kind of early retirement, if you will. And I had this process that I used to build my business. And so I helped some of my friends with some of their businesses, some real estate, some were in sales, a lot of fitness people I was helping. And so I was kind of playing around with this process. And then 4 years ago, it'll be 4 years on December 4th, my 19-year-old daughter passed away.
Oh,
And when she passed away, yeah, thank you. When she passed away, obviously that's a paradigm shifting moment for anybody to lose a child. And one of the things that really hit me a few months after that is how much I really do love to help people. What I teach has a profound impact on helping people move forward with their lives. So I decided to create Disruption Factor, turn it into more of a business, create Disruption Factor. My flagship product is my online course. I do a lot of public speaking, a lot of seminars. I have a lot of corporate clients. And just recently, we're getting ready to embark where I am going to take on some one-on-one clients. But primarily it's through speaking engagements, corporate trainings, and my online course. And that's where we are today. And we're having a good time and helping people achieve their goals.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You often say, one of the things you often say when I was doing the research is you often say 92% of people never achieve their goals. I'm glad that we have you on the mic. Why do you think that is?
Oh, man. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but here's the main thing. So 92% of people who set goals don't achieve them in the world. And those that do achieve them within a year revert back to where they were beforehand. And the biggest thing that people need to understand, and the hardest thing for most people to grasp, is that goal achievement, when it comes down to it, is about 90% mental. It's the mental aspect. It's the mentality. It's the mindset. And our species is such that we're a very tangible species. We want to be able to touch. If we spend $100 on something, we want to be able to unbox it, plug it in, turn it on, mess with it. So when you start talking about mindset and mentalities, a lot of people just kind of shut it off. Yet that's exactly what it is. The biggest reason is the actual disruption factor itself, the name of my company, which I will get into as we talk here. But, people, it starts with people typically not understanding that they're setting a goal. So, for example, there's 5 areas of our life. There's relational, spiritual, recreational, financial, which includes entrepreneurship and business. And then there's physical, which is diet and fitness. So those are the 5 areas of our life.
Okay.
Anytime we decide to improve an area of that life or take one of those areas to a new level, requires us to set a goal. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I want to lose weight. I want to start a business. Okay, that's actually a goal. And that's where it all starts. So properly setting and cultivating goals is where it all starts. You have to write it down. And I can tell you right now from experience, the reason at least half the people fail with their goals is because they never even decipher in what they actually are, and they don't write them down. The act of writing down a goal is enough. Just the act of writing it down to solidify it in your brain. But what you need to do is you need to write down your goal. You need to be specific, and you need to write down a 90-day, a 6-month, and a 2-year goal. You can throw a 1-year goal in there if you want to as well. But 90 days, 6 months, 2-year goal, you need to write them down, and you need to post them. I usually have my folks post them on their bathroom mirror, so they have to look at it every single day.
Yeah.
And that's really where it starts. You'd be shocked if you knew how many people set goals and don't even write them down, and then they wonder why they don't achieve them.
Yeah, they forget about it, and then until the December is coming, when everyone's like, "Yeah, that's true. I did set the goal that this new year was my resolution. What happened? Why did I forget?"
Right.
I'm not sure I understand the recreation part of the 5 areas of life you mentioned. I get the financial part, I get the relation part, I get the physical part, I get the spiritual part, but the recreational part, I'm not really sure I really understand. Could you give me some examples?
Sure. Recreational would be like, I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to take up a hobby. I want to take up bowling. I want to take up, something that you would do in your recreational time. Like, it's typically an interest. I've always wanted to play guitar. I've always wanted to take on a hobby, whatever it may be. So I have a goal to take that on and be proficient with it. It's actually a big part of our lives, because we all have hobbies. We all have interests in things we like to do. They might say, I want to take up surfing. So obviously they would have a goal to, get the necessary equipment, get the instruction, become an adequate surfer that you can go have a good time, or be a golfer. So anything like that. It might not be as serious as the other 4, but it is a big part of people's lives.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for explaining that. Now I completely understand, and I get what recreational goals mean. You mentioned that the big major step is to write down the goals you have, and then put it in a place where you can see it every day. Okay. So what's next? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so once you write down your goals, you want to do what I call cultivate your goals. And what that simply means is you want to surround yourself with them. So let's say you have a business goal, you want to go into business, and you have an income goal. Once you're making that money, what about your life would change? Would you live in a different house? Would you drive a different car? Would you take different vacations? You need to go on and you need to print out pictures of that life that you're going to live when you're there. If it's to lose weight, what about your life is going to change when you get fit and you lose that weight? Are you going to wear different clothes? Are you going to look different? You want to surround. A lot of people will go like to Pinterest, for example, and they'll make a vision board, a dream board.
Yeah.
But some people just like to print out pictures and just, again, put them in their bathroom mirror, put them in their car. Just, you want to surround yourself not only with your goals, your written goals, but with the life that you're looking to achieve. Because when you encounter disruption, when you feel down, when you feel like stopping, when you wonder if it's worth it, you need to remind yourself of where you're going. So you set your goals, you write them down, you cultivate your goals, and then you create your action plan. right? So if it's to lose
Yeah.
weight, what are you going to do to lose weight? Are you going to purchase a diet? Are you going to eat differently? Are you going to join a gym? Are you going to exercise? That's when you put together the action plan. And all that stuff, I'll be real honest with you, Wisdom, all that stuff is really easy. It's easy to create goals. It's easy to write them down. It's easy to
Okay.
cultivate them. It's
Of course.
easy even to put together an action plan, maybe find a
Okay.
mentor. Then comes the action part. Then comes the part where you've got to get out there and you got to start doing it. And
Before we get
that's when it gets
before
tough for people.
before we
Hmm.
get to the action part, what does an action? Because a lot of people are like, what's supposed to be my action plan? What should it look like? What should I have?
Well, the action plan really it depends on the situation. Okay, so for
Okay.
me, I
Let's say
started.
business.
Okay, business. Okay, so what kind of business are you going to start? Right. Let's
Okay.
say you're going to start a business. So, do you have a business in mind? What's it going to take to grow that? But I would imagine if you're setting goals for the business and you already have a business in mind, you've probably already started. So, the action plan would be okay, I want to make this business work. So, it might be you might need to set a schedule of days that you're hours and days that you're going to be doing X amount of projects and X amount of activity. An action plan could also include finding a mentor, somebody who's willing to coach you and teach you, someone who's going to train you if it's a situation, like fitness. Your action plan, if you want to lose weight, could be I'm going to join this gym, I'm going to buy this
Yeah.
diet, and I'm going to hire a personal trainer, let's just say, right? So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you've got your goal and now you've got the actionable steps of what you're going to do to implement and to achieve that goal.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So now, from what you said so far, I think a basic framework I would use from my head just so I can remember any action plan I do is what am I going to do? Why am I doing this? Who do I need help from to in order to do this? Who do I need to reach out for advice and stuff like that? Where will I be doing this? Where would I do this? And just the basic what, why, the WH questions, and how am I going to do it? And to just
Right.
as a starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for diet, it might be you need to go buy new shoes and buy some exercise
Okay.
equipment and join a
Okay.
gym, and there
Yeah.
you go, get on your days. And then this is where it gets th- my focus as a performance consultant.
Okay.
I teach people how to set and achieve goals with an emphasis and a specialty on all things comfort zone. Okay.
Okay,
Now
okay.
look, you can go online and you can see all those memes of the circles of the comfort zone, fear zone,
Yeah,
growth zone. They're everywhere. You can see all the sayings out there of, success lies outside of your comfort zone. People know this. We all know this. But what you don't get out there is you don't get anybody who's going to take the time to explain, first of all, maybe how your comfort zone came into existence in the first place, why it's so hard to leave, and more importantly, when you do leave it, being prepared for what you're going to face so you don't come running back to it, right?
okay.
So the first thing people need to understand is that your comfort zone is the enemy of your success. Everybody has a comfort zone. Everybody has one. And it's called a comfort zone for a reason, because it's comfortable. And again, humans as a species, we don't like discomfort. We run from discomfort, right? So it's
Yeah,
easy to stay there. So let's take that person who's embarking on a business, or embarking on a fitness program, a diet program. Now they got to start. So what's the first thing that happens? Well, they've got to start new activities. They've got to cut into their schedule. If you're leaving, it's very uncomfortable. But what's going to hit you is you're going to hit what I call the disruption factor. And that's my main thing that I teach people. That's the main reason why 92% of people do not achieve their goals, is because what I'm going to talk about right now. And that
okay.
is what I call the disruption factor. Okay. When you take action to start achieving your goals, when you start doing what you need to do to achieve that goal, the very first thing you're going to hit is disruption to your life, disruption to your routine. There's two things, Wisdom, that every goal has in common. The first one is rarely, if ever, are you ever going to be where you thought you'd be when you thought you'd be there. So you just have to manage that expectation. My goal is to lose 10 pounds the first month. You lost 2. My goal is to make
Okay.
$100,000 my first year. You made 30,
Maybe.
right?
Hey, quick break. Before we continue, I'd love for you to join the Wisdom Journey newsletter. Every week, I share exclusive insights, tools, and behind-the-scenes updates to help you stay ahead in your own journey of building an online business. It's simple, practical, and built to help you grow. Sign up today for free at the link in the description. Now let's get back to the episode.
Rarely are you ever going to
Yeah.
be where you thought you'd be when you thought you'd be there. That's the first thing that every goal has in common. The second thing that every goal has in common is you will always encounter a ton of disruption in your life before you see an ounce of success. So people are not prepared for that. They set a goal, they leave their comfort zone, they start working towards the goal, disruption hits, and they go right back to their comfort zone, right? If it's because whether it doesn't matter, they're kind of the same. If you're starting a business or entrepreneurial venture, or you're trying to lose weight and get fit, they're kind of the same. They're both going to require time out of your schedule that you need to dedicate to it. So that disrupts your routine and it disrupts your habits. Okay. If your business might require you to learn and do things that you've never had to learn and do before, that's uncomfortable. Fitness and diet, all of a sudden you can't drink sodas anymore. You need to drink water. So you've got a caffeine headache. You're going to go to bed hungry. You can't eat a lot of the food that you want to eat. You're fighting cravings, you're exercising, 3 days into your exercise program, you're so sore you can't even brush your teeth, right? Just major disruption. And when this disruption is occurring in your life, the pull to go back, the tendency to go back to your comfort zone is so big, because you're like, you know what, I wasn't happy where I'm at, but at least I wasn't going through this. So what we teach people is to prepare for the disruption. Okay, first of all, just understand that you're not going to be where you thought you'd be when you thought you'd be there, most likely. It's a slow journey. Number two, your entire life, your routines, your habits, everything are going to get disrupted and probably turned upside down if you really make a run at this. So you need to be prepared for it. One of the things that I try to get people to do is I say, look, I want you to prepare for it. I want you to write down what do you think how do you think your life is going to be disrupted by taking your business wisdom to a new level? Let's say you want to take your business to a new level, and what's going to be different? You might be like, well, I'm going to have to work longer hours. I might not have weekends to have fun as much because I'm going to have to work on weekends. I'm going to have to talk to more people. I might have to prospect. I might have to take on new skills and learn new things. Okay, so just anticipate that. If you're out to lose some weight, what do you think? How is your life going to be disrupted? Well, I'm going to go to bed hungry. I'm going to have caffeine headaches. I'm going to start an exercise program, so I'm going to be really sore for a while. I'm going to have to find time to exercise. That's not easy because I'm already busy. There's going to be days I'm not going to want to do it because I'm just too busy. So if you could get people to anticipate this disruption, prepare for it, then then they run a much less risk of being taken out by it. But as you could probably already tell right now, that people aren't prepared for this. They just think, I'm going to set a goal, I'm going to go. They're not ready for the disruption.
Yeah.
And then the paradigm that they already have set, and our paradigm is our worldview of that particular topic, right? So someone who wants to lose weight might be like, well, their worldview of them losing weight might be, I've always been heavy. I've tried diets before. They've never worked, but I guess I'll give this one a shot. That they're already down and out before they've even started. People that start an entrepreneurial journey might be like, well, my dad always told me people like us don't make it and I should just be happy with what I have. So what makes me think that I'm going to be successful? So we focus on their paradigm a lot, but really getting prepared for that disruption is a really big thing. Yeah. So we do a lot of mental exercises and tangible exercises to walk them through it.
Okay. So when you say, because we're using the word disruption, but what would getting prepared for disruption look like in actual sense with any goal?
Well, ideally, if they have, when they're creating their action plan, if they can find a mentor or a coach or a buddy or someone who's already on that journey who can help them out, that's always good. It's always good to work in pairs, but they should also read up. And you don't even have to read. You could go to YouTube and look it up on stuff on the subject of what, again, let's pick something ridiculous. I want to learn how to surf. And you can look up videos about what are the pitfalls? What are you going to encounter when you start surfing? And you're going to see like, oh, wow, that's going to happen. And that's going to happen. Just the reality is most of the stuff that I talk about here today is just a fact of you becoming aware of this. If you're someone going like, look, I want to do this. I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to do all these things. and I'm ready for the disruption. And when the disruption hits, they're like, oh yeah, I saw this coming. And so then we'll walk them through a couple exercises. Okay. So for example, with my online course, there's a 26-page workbook. And one of the exercises we have people go through is you need to remind yourself of what you're leaving behind. Okay. Not remind yourself of what you want. That's your goal. You already cultivated that. What are you leaving behind? In other words, why do you want to start that business? Why do you want to be successful? What, in other words, not so you can make more money and have a nicer car. What are you leaving behind? And that answer might be, you know what? Because I hate my boss. I hate my job. I don't want to be an employee. I want more freedom. I want more time with my kids. I'm tired of thinking about money because I never have enough. So my whole adult life is spent chasing money because I'm always short of it. I don't want to, I just want to be at a place where I don't have to think about money anymore. And I want to control my freedom. I hate having to get up at 5 a.m. to go to work at a job that I can't stand, right? If you were to say, okay, so why do you want to lose this weight? Why do you want to transform your body? Well, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the clothes that I'm stuck wearing. I don't like the way I look in clothes. I don't like the way I look out of clothes. I don't want to be winded walking up a flight of stairs. I'm just not comfortable. My whole life is just my existence. For the most part, I'm not comfortable because I'm too heavy for myself. Okay, you got to write that down. Why? Reminding yourself of what you're leaving behind is more powerful than staring at a goal of where you're going to be, if that makes sense, because that's it, right? And then the next exercise we would do after that is we would talk about negative motivation. Okay. And, in the space that we exist in here, you and me, where we're self-improvement, mindset, self-help space, anything negative is typically shunned and not encouraged. We're always taught that we need to be positive, and you need to be positive. You need to be excited about what you're going to do, excited about your journey, excited about achieving that goal and changing your life. However, what is negative motivation? Negative motivation is you embark on this goal, you start and you're going. And like everybody else, you have those moments where you wonder if it's worth it. And your old comfort zone looks really good, maybe just give up. At that point, you need to remind yourself, look, I've been at this for this amount of time. If I give up right now, whether it be 6 months, a year, 2 or 3 years down the road, I all of a sudden get a thought. And that thought is, where would I be right now if I just wouldn't have given up? And I am telling you, that is a bone-chilling, gut-wrenching feeling. And most of us have already encountered that feeling at some point in our life. And like Tony Robbins says it perfectly. We will fight harder to avoid pain than we will to gain success and pleasure, right? So I'm 58 years old. I'm in the best physical shape of my life, other than when I was like 25, obviously. Yeah. But I wasn't always here. I'm on a 4-year fitness journey. And I can tell you right now, over the last 4 years, that the moments that I felt like letting it go, the thing that kept me going was not the idea of being the best shape of my life at 58 years old. No, not at all. It was like, if I stop, how the heck am I going to feel a year from now going, where could I be if I just wouldn't have stopped? You got to do these things. If you write it down. If I don't follow through with my goal, I will feel blank. And so again, between reminding yourself of what you're leaving behind, writing it down, and then writing down how would you feel 6 months, a year, 2 years from now if you give up. You don't want that feeling. And these are just some mental aspects that can help you get through this. Reminding yourself of what most people would do. Wisdom, you take those areas, the 5 areas: relational, spiritual, recreational, financial, and physical. Yeah. If you want to move one of those areas to a higher level, you want to be an achiever in one of those areas, and you want to know what to do, all you have to do is go look at the rest of the world, what they're doing and how they're handling that area, and just do the opposite. If you want to know what you need to do to be fit, just go look at most of the population, because most of them, at least here in America, we're like the heaviest, we're like the most obese, country on the planet, right? If you want to know what to do about achieving your entrepreneurial goal, look what most people do. Most people would give up right now. Those moments that you sit there and think like, is it worth it? I don't feel like doing it. Just remind
Yeah.
yourself, what would most people do right now? They'd give up. They wouldn't do it. Well, I will,
Yeah.
and that's how I'm going to win. That's how I'm going to change my life, you know?
One of the things you talked about is you've been super helpful in helping us identify our comfort zone and the next step to take to leave the comfort zone. And one of the concepts you teach is the 90-day cycle
Yes.
to real results, right? I'd love if you could unpack the 90-day cycle, goal
Yeah,
cycle.
I'm glad you. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up because it's probably one of the most common questions I get from anybody that I teach this to or I talk about is they always say, "Why 90 days? Why not 30 or even
Okay.
60?" Well, I'm a big believer in moving your life in 90-day cycles, moving your life forward in 90-day cycles. Okay, why 90? Why not 30? Why not 60? Here's why. Because when you decide to take it up a notch, like I'm going to go do this and I'm going to give myself 90 days, I'm going to operate at a higher level for 90 days right now. Okay, the first 30 days is when you're going to get what I call all of the gut punches. Okay, you're going to encounter all of the disruption, all of the pain, all of the negative stuff, right? You know, you're changing, you don't feel like it, you're tired, it's not happening. And in the first 30 days, you're probably not going to see any results. So if you just set a 30-day goal, you're going to be vastly disappointed, typically. Okay. All you've done in the first 30 days is start to build new habits and new routines and overcome the disruption. The second 30 days, so the end of the 60 days, is when you will find by the end of the 60 days, the things that you were very uncomfortable with at the beginning 60 days ago have now become pretty routine, pretty normal, not a big deal. It used to be a struggle for you to come home and change your clothes and even go walk around the block, right? Now you don't even think about it. You come home, you put on your clothes and you just go. It's become habit now. It's become routine. And by the end of the 60 days, no matter what your goal is, if you've stayed operating at that level, you will be seeing some kind of results at this point. That's just a fact. You will. And by the end of the 90 days, here's what's going to happen. You will have moved that area, that goal, you will have moved it forward. You're probably not going to change your life in 90 days, but it's not about changing your life in 90 days. It's about moving that area of your life forward 90 days at a time. So the idea is not to change your life in
To
90
achieve the
days.
results. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is to move that area of your life forward. And 90 days into it, you can look back and say, I'm not where I used to be. I have moved it forward. And you can't do it in 30 days. You can't do it in 60 days. And it also takes 90 days to create and build and establish new habits and new routines. So that's why the 90-day cycle. Very important.
Okay.
Very important.
So,
yes.
so the idea of the 90 days is not necessarily to achieve the goal, but to make chasing the goal, working on the project, working on the goal, making it the new comfort zone, founding comfort zone.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But
Yeah.
the thing is people need to remind themselves that a 90-day cycle is typically not you doing the same thing you've been doing for 90 days. Take it to a new level, a higher level. Okay. So just for example, your fitness routine, maybe for 90 days, I'm going to do a lot more cardio and I'm going to try to either stop drinking alcohol or I'm not going to drink alcohol during the week. You know, something different, something better, something at a higher level, let's just say. Business, it could be I'm going to talk to X amount of more people. I'm going to make more calls. I'm going to take it up a notch and I'm going to do it for 90 days, understanding that the first 30 days, I'm probably going to see very little, if any, results. Second 60 days, I should start seeing something. At the end of the 90 days, I will have my business in a different spot. So it's huge, absolutely huge. Yeah. And, you know, another thing that I would really want to throw out there to people is as you embark on a goal, one of the really important exercises that you want to do is try to determine what are your character traits that will hold you back if you let them. So in other words, we all have a comfort zone. Most of us have had this goal for a while. We've been wanting to lose weight for a while. We've been wanting to start this business for a while. We just been putting it off. And now for some reason, we're like, hey, we don't want to put it off anymore. Well, part of the reason that you've been putting it off, if that's you, is because you obviously have some character traits that are very non-conducive for you to win. So let me just give you an example. Here's mine. I have 4 character traits about me that I've had to battle and overcome and fight my entire life to become successful in any area that I've ever wanted to become successful. The first one for me is I'm a procrastinator. I'm not lazy, but I will always kind of put stuff off and let it go, right? That's my first problem. I have an intense fear of rejection, intense. Number 3, I care way too much about what other people may think or what they may say. So those 3 alone right there. I started a business at 21 years old that involved prospecting and appointment setting. And my top 3 negative character traits is I'm a procrastinator, I have a fear of rejection, and I care about too much about what people may think or say. This is why I was kind of a failure my first 2 years and had to really get out of my own way. And then my 4th thing is I'm very easily distracted. I have a little attention deficit order going on, right? So it's very easy for me to like have a project and next thing you know, I'm off doing something else, right? So, but the whole point is that whoever's listening to this, you have character traits about you that you need to overcome, that you need to work through to make this goal work. Okay. Some people have a fear of failure. They have a fear of success. Some people are just lazy. Some people are addicted to social media. They can't get off their phone. Some people watch too much TV. They have too many programs that they live for. You know, some people are too into their sports and that's all they want to do is watch and cheer for their sports team, right? One of the things that we want people to do is figure out what those character traits are and then, you know, become aware of them. And then know that you need to work past those and just understand this, like the goal you want to achieve. What's more important to you in 90 days? Is it more important that you've worked towards this goal and you've moved that area of your life to a different level? Or is it more important that you feed these character traits and stay in your comfort zone? Well, obviously people are going to say, no, it's obviously more important. So when you look at it from that aspect, you realize that these character traits I have are just stupid. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to stop letting them control my life. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, this is a masterclass.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I know it's about 5 minutes to the end of the episode, but one thing I just wanted to quickly touch on is a term you call the middle class mentality.
Yes.
What exactly is it?
Well, the middle class mentality is something that I've talked about, I created and talked about for the last 25 years. And it's really, it's just anyone who wasn't born and raised in a success achievement driven, you know, household or environment, which is about 95 to 97% of us. We're just average normal people. We weren't raised in a household of high achievers, highly successful. We weren't raised with a winning mentality, if you will. So just kind of typical normal people. So I call it just the middle class mentality. And what it is it's how we were raised. Most of us were raised with just, it created our paradigm. It created our worldview of how we live, you know. And for example, we're taught that we should just settle and be happy with what we have. We're taught that we should just be like everybody else. We're taught that people like us don't make it, you know, just be happy that you have a roof over your head. You know, I'm not saying don't be grateful. Of course we should be grateful, but I also don't buy that, you know. No, I mean, it's funny because it's like the people that tell you that money can't buy happiness never, you know, they never tell you, oh, by the way, if you don't have enough money, it brings with it a world of pain and misery, by the way. You know, and I've been broke and I've been wealthy and I've always had problems. We all have problems. But I was a lot happier when I was wealthy, you know, and so, and we're taught that, like, I keep referring to us as a species. I keep talking about that a lot, the human species. We are not built to settle and conform and be like everybody else. We are intrinsically built for risk, for adventure, and to strive and to push our lives forward. You know, we're not meant to settle. We're not meant to be like it. But society tells us, just be happy, just be like everybody else. And so, you know, when it comes to opportunity, for example, when it comes to how we make our money, if it doesn't fit into like an hourly wage or a salary with a benefit, then in our minds, it's too good to be true. It's probably a scam. Don't bother. It's probably one of those pyramid deals, right? That's what we're taught. We're taught that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So don't even bother. Whereas a successful person would say, hey, if it sounds too good to be true, maybe it is, but you need to find out for yourself, because if it is true, you don't want to miss it. You know, the middle class mentality tells us that You know, here's what you see. Like right now over here in America, we got the World Series going on. Okay. And I'm not a Dodger fan, but I'm surrounded by Dodger fans. And the thing is, what you see in sports around the world is they live so vicariously through their favorite sports team. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So like you got people that refer to their team as we and us. We're going to be good. Who are we? Well, there's no we. There's you're a fan, and there's them,
Yeah.
the players. But the thing is I don't mean that as a put down, because I understand the reason people live so vicariously through sports teams and athletes and movie stars and things like that is because they're lacking that risk and that adventure in their lives. We are meant to be a part of something. We're meant to strive for something. And so when they see their sports team playing, it's like this little brief moment in their life that they get to be a part of something that's bigger than them, be emotionally attached to it. There's risk in the sense that we may win, or they may win, they may lose. We don't know. And there's the adventure in it, because we don't have any of that in our lives, because we've been taught through this society, tradition, education, through this middle-class mentality that we should just conform, be happy with where we're at, don't take any risks, don't take any adventure, don't try to push your life, just keep your head down, pay your bills, be like everybody else. And I'm telling you right now, that's not what it is. And that middle-class mentality has a profound effect on our goals, because we are taught to settle and be like everybody else. And let's be honest here, Wisdom, if you want to go out there and create a successful business and transform your life, you want to get out there and lose weight and get fit and look great, you're going to be isolated, because your friends probably aren't that. They probably aren't willing to do what you're going to do. I mean, it's a lonely road. You're taking the road less traveled. But that's because we're taught to settle. And in a nutshell, that's the middle-class mentality. It's just our paradigm, our view, just to settle, be like everybody else, and don't try to strive for anything. And man, to me, there's nothing, I don't, but trust me, I'm no better than anybody else at all, but I don't want to be like anybody else. I felt that way since I was 21. I just don't want to be like everybody else. You know, my age here in America, 58-year-old male, they're all fat and out of shape. No way. I won't do it. No way. I won't do it. You know, I grew up in the country. All my buddies work construction and worked good, just normal jobs. But that wasn't, I don't want a life of working for somebody else. I want to go make something. I want freedom. I don't want to be like that. You know, so my thing is, I want to encourage people, recognize the middle-class mentality and break free of it. Set your goal, take that area of your life to a new level, and don't stop.
I said, since we're talking about taking the next step, where can listeners get started with your system and get access to your free resources?
Yeah. Reach out to me. You can go to my website, disruption-factor.com, but I'd rather people just reach out to me on my Instagram account. It's at Real Shane Perry. My daughter did that, not me. So it's at Real Shane Perry, ShanePerry. And yeah, reach out, shoot me a DM. I've got some information I can send people. If they're interested in the course, we've got some deep discounts right now, actually, with the end of the year. But yeah, I'd love to give people some information, and they can plug in and start learning how to transform their lives, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shane, for this full masterclass, for helping us understand why we sabotage ourselves and why we've been stuck in the comfort zone. Thank you.
Absolutely, Wisdom. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. I'll add the link you mentioned in the description so listeners can click and go directly to the site. Thank you. Thanks for tuning into Wisdom Journey. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and fresh ideas to keep moving forward. If you found value, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow creator or entrepreneur who'd love to learn too. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and the link in the description for more resources, experiments, and lessons straight to your inbox. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep walking your own wisdom journey. Yeah.